Welcome to Monday. That's right. Today is Monday. I love Monday. I'm in beast mode today. Because there's just so much going on. So, what is going on with you this week? That's the question. What is going on with you this week? Feel free to put some comments in the comment section and let me know what is happening in your world. Keep in mind, we are live. Feel free to ask any questions you have this week, but this is beast mode week. So many things going on. If you are watching this and you receive the Monday morning email from me that says, hey, here's what's going on this week, then you're already in the know. But if you're not in the know, this is a place to get in the know. So if you're ready for some beast mode, whether you're watching live or you're watching during the replay, feel free to put beast mode in the comments. Let me know if you're in beast mode, meaning that you are ready to tackle your goals, your tasks, that you're ready to look at what people see as obstacles, as opportunities this week, that you're never going to quit. You're going to keep going, that life is full of abundance, not scarcity. You know, this is a unique time, right? For us, this is a pretty pivotal week for a lot of reasons. But we're going to tap into some positive, exciting things going on here at Lifted From The Rut. So if you're ready for that, put in ready in the comment section. Keep in mind that we are live right now, so you can ask any questions you may have. And we have a special guest coming on here in a little bit. And I will introduce you to Susan when the time comes. So, but I got to say this real quick. So I love comments. Anyone you watch their feeds or Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, people love comments. So feel free to leave a comment in there. We're going to dive right into what's going on. Again, if you are not receiving the emails that go out and you want to receive the emails that go out, shoot me your email to rob@liftedfromtherut.com. So I have to ask this question. Are you ready? Again, if you're watching the replay or you are watching, if you're watching the replay, hit replay. If you're live, put something in the comments that lets me know you're here, because I'm ready to dive into some awesome content. There's definitely a lot more going on this week that I'm sharing about than the last week. So if you're ready, put ready, because I can't see who's live right now. I can see how many people are live, people popping in and out. But if you are ready for some cool information, let's dive into sharing the screen. All right. So again, if you're not, I have my email address up there. If you are not getting the emails, please feel free to shoot me an email to rob@liftedfromtherut.com. So here we go. We are live right now. I am live. We are live. You are with me. This is exciting. I love Mondays. Again, I've got my beast mode shirt on. Here we go. Let's dive into some of the content. Ready? All right, here we go. So the picture I have up there is a cool article, which we are going to talk about here in a minute when Susan comes on. She's the wonderful individual that wrote this article about me in Podcast Magazine. But the whole thing here is never give up. Never give up. So this is a huge week of announcements. Here we go. Let's just dive right into it. We're just going to hop right into, Dr. Mel Pohl. I actually interviewed him in July for my Art of Intervention Project Summit. It says, I interviewed Dr. Pohl and I was like, hey, why do you care to help other people? And he says that he sees too many patients and clinicians that just don't understand the complexity of chronic pain. Dr. Pohl is like the chronic pain expert in the country. And he said he'd like to elucidate the fallacies of the truth about the process of treatment for chronic pain. There is help. You don't have to pop pills all day long, people. All right, here we go. This is what typically comes out on Mondays. If you're not getting the emails, please just shoot me an email. Send me a Facebook message that says, hey, Rob, add me to this, because It's really cool content. And if you tune in every Monday, just because I go through this, it's kind of nice to have it in your inbox. So here we go. We're just going to hop right into it. Mondays, basically it says, hey, here's what's coming this week. We do this 10 o'clock Facebook Live. Every Monday, we do this, stream it through here, through Lifted From The Rut's web Facebook page, and also live through the YouTube channel, Rob Lohman Broadcasts, if you're not getting those. So, and if you're getting the emails, then bam, right here, it's all my social media pieces you can tap into. So, Tuesdays, new Beyond the Bar radio podcast episode, which we'll talk about in a second. Wednesdays, AspenRidge Recovery Center has been part of a 3-week series where they're talking about what they do at their treatment center and how they help people through brain spotting and community, and just an amazing organization that does what they do. Thursdays, I do send a content email, which doesn't have a lot of the stuff like announcements in it at all. It literally is just content. Hey, read this, apply it in your life, invoke change. And then Fridays is the Faith Fridays, the new Addiction, Freedom, and Faith podcast. So here's the cool stuff from this week, man. I'm so excited to share this with y'all. Are you excited? No one's making comments. Make a comment. Says, I'm excited. So AspenRidge, all you got to do in the email is go through. And if you're not getting this, again, shoot me an email to rob@liftedfromtherut.com if you want to receive these each week. But so this Wednesday, we'll post the third episode in the series with AspenRidge Recovery. Grateful they are a sponsor of the Beyond the Bars radio podcast show, which is going to blow up this month, which you'll find out here in just a second. So all you have to do is just click here. I mean, literally, it takes you to liftedfromtherut.com. You can go to the podcast section and do the drop down and check out the AspenRidge episode page. Next, real excited to let people know about this. In December, I'll be putting on another summit. This one is called the Identity in Jesus Christ Summit. We're going to hear from Neil Anderson, who actually spoke at the last summit I did too. Huge guy, Victory of the Darkness. Vance Johnson, former Denver Broncos, is going to come bring the heat about why he's so passionate about his faith. And then David Ann Wilson, they are the authors of Vertical Marriage and hosts of the Family Life Ministries podcast, Family Life. And then there's plenty of more that's going to be happening at this. But all you got to do is go to identityinjesuschrist.com and get registered. It doesn't start till December 7th, but you'll be kind of in the know as we're leading up to that. Real passionate about this. There's all sorts of topics we're going to be talking about how to live your life from your identity in Christ while experiencing breakthroughs at home, at work, your community. Learn how to break free from spiritual bondage, which is awesome. Live the vertical marriage you always wanted. How to not let your past define your future. Build a prayer war room. I love that. A prayer war room. We're going to be doing that here. We're going to have Susan on here in just a second, and I'll tell you why Susan's coming on here in just a minute. But all you got to do is just go. It's a free summit that you can register for. Just click here, and bam, you're in. All that good stuff. And then here is we're going to have our my wonderful friend Susan Dascenzi on here in just a second. She wrote this amazing article about my story, my journey, the podcast in Podcast Magazine, y'all. And it is amazing to be a part of what they're doing. So many passionate podcasters around the world. And so you get to hear from Susan here in just a second. And she's doing some cool stuff in her world of podcasting and just touching all sorts of lives. We have a great connection. I interviewed her on the podcast show, actually. I can't remember the date, but if you go to beyondthebarsradio.com, you can check that out. Then you can get access right here. And then also, for those that have attended the Trifecta of Recovery webinar in the past, I now have it for you available online. We do them live, and you can just literally go register at trifectaofrecoverywebinar.com. Give you tons of tools that you as a family can apply right now to help a loved one struggling with addiction, and even yourself if you're the one struggling from addiction as well. We're going to talk about the three legs of the stool: coaching, counseling, community. What is addiction? What is recovery? What is an intervention? And I take you through a really cool experiential learning exercise that we'll do in the actual webinar itself. It's free to attend. All you got to do is click here or go to trifectaofrecoverywebinar.com. Again, if you're not getting the emails, shoot me an email, Rob from the Rut, and you'll be up to speed. And then this week, the two podcasts episodes are going out. Tomorrow's the new Beyond the Bars radio episode, which was Tiffany Jenkins with Juggling the Jenkins. She's awesome. This woman has done so much with her story. She has like almost 5 million followers on Facebook. Like, she is awesome, and she's touching lots of lives. And then Scott Graham at Care Frontations, his episode is going out Friday on the Addiction, Freedom, and Faith podcast, which talking about intervention misconceptions. So again, I hope you're getting the emails, y'all. I just do this in like 10 minutes or less on Mondays. If you need resources and you're struggling and you don't know how to help yourself or a loved one, you literally can just click on the link in the email. And I'm pushing y'all towards the email because that way you stay in touch with things that are going on every week in my world. Or just shoot me your own email at rob@liftedfromtherut.com. And then the challenge, this one was really cool last week, so I'm redoing it. Basically, I'm encouraging people to watch this video every single morning, journal about it, and then email me back the impact it had on your life. And heck, if you want to donate to the nonprofit at Lifted From The Rut to help me help people that can't afford help themselves, you can make a tax-deductible donation at I do this through the New Horizons Foundation, and you can even earmark it. It says, hey, I want to help someone pay for an intervention. I want to help someone pay for recovery coaching. I want to support your podcast. Whatever it might be, you can earmark it. And that is it, y'all. That is the week here at Lifted From The Rut. So make sure you're getting the emails. If you're not, shoot me one. Now we get to bring Susan on. She's in the green room. She's staring at me right now going, I'm ready. Are you ready, Susan? She's got thumbs up. She's ready to rock and roll. So we're going to bring Susan on. We're going to talk about what she does in her world. And I just want to thank her publicly for writing this article in Podcast Magazine. So here we go. All right, we're going to make us bigger here. There we go. Cool. We're going to put some labels on because, we got to know who we're talking about here. So display names. There we go. Bam. All right, cool. Hey, what's going on, Susan?
Hey, Rob. I'm so honored to be here. I just love and adore you, man.
It's good stuff. Well, we're both doing cool stuff to reach people. Yeah. And I want to remind people right now, we are hanging out here live. So you can ask questions, throw them in the chat, whatever you want to do. But yeah, so Susan, I just want to say thank you for writing the wonderful article. I was like blushing and like showed my wife. I'm like, this is like so cool. And, but podcasting is an amazing avenue. And obviously you're a diehard believer in that too. So tell people about like, who are you and what do you experience when you write articles about people personally?
Wow, that's a phenomenal question. And again, thank you. It was my honor. I became involved with Podcast Magazine because I really loved the idea that this was a magazine specifically for the fans, right? All of our like top, hot 50 charts are fan driven. The off the charts are picked by the category directors. It's based nothing on downloads. And we just didn't see anything out there like that. So I had to jump in because I have 2 podcasts and I really love the medium. It's growing by leaps and bounds. And somehow I came across you and I was like, this guy's story from the little bit that I'm reading is so phenomenal. I have to interview him. So it's kind of a twofold thing, right? That's why it's a loaded question for me, is on the one hand, I get to sit with people during the interview and really kind of dive in because the whole idea behind featuring someone isn't about their podcast. It's about beyond the microphone, who they are, kind of how they got here. And a spiritual and emotional resiliency coach, like what a better role, right?
Yeah, right. Totally.
I mean, I get to help and really spread the word about an awesome show and a beautiful person behind the microphone to all kinds of podcast fans. But I, doing what I do for a living as my main gig, get to meet amazing people and hear their stories of thriving and overcoming. So when I'm writing the story, I really want to capture, because we talked, oh my gosh, I think we did like almost a 2-hour interview.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we did. It was funny because, like you'll schedule these things. I always leave like that buffer zone, right?
Me too.
And my kid's like, that was a long one. I was like, yeah, well, she was so fun to talk to and it was cool. So, yeah.
Well, and so obviously I couldn't write, a full story with the length because we're limited by our words, right?
Yeah.
That we do have caps. And I think I was double the cap and I worked with the editor because I'm like, no, this is important. And she'd take out a piece. I'm like, nope, this is critical to Rob's journey. Somehow we have to take out something else and add this, so it was a little bit of a process, but I really like and appreciate then being able to capture and encapsulate this potentially long journey in history for someone into this kind of really flavorful, that's a weird word to say about an article, but a flavorful article that really showcases their journey. And, so for me in doing what I do, normally, I'm like you, Rob. I really love addictions, and substance abuse has been one of my specialties over my 24 years as a therapist, because I'm so passionate, not just within addictions and recovery, of people not having to live from their pain and be their pain that ends up showing up in behavioral ways that mess their life up.
Yeah.
And I think that's why there's been such a synergy between you and I, because our hearts and our passions are in the same place. And we really just want to help those who are struggling. I've always said that I really teach people to learn how to help themselves. I don't help people. I teach you how to help yourself.
Yeah, because you do coaching and all sorts of cool stuff to help people. And that was like when I got to interview you, like it's kind of a fun thing. Like sometimes it's those things of like, well, when you interviewed, you're like, I want to interview that person because they have a cool story. And it's like, hey, can I interview you for my show? And then being able to like flip flop and compliment, that is really cool.
Yeah, and you were on my show as well.
Yeah.
Were you on the new? You were on the new show, right?
I was on, the new
spiritually,
one. Yeah.
So, I mean, we just have such dynamic and fun conversations, and there's so many things that we can talk about. And, it's again, kind of part of our stories in our past in sharing your journey in Podcast Magazine. There were so many pieces that were important and relevant and were catalytic in your journey. But then through your recovery, it kind of like you get stopped by this. And I think that's the thing that we need to realize as humans, right? Is that, we can have these tools, we can understand, where we're at and what we're feeling and thinking and seeing how our past is getting in the way. And yet if we don't keep going and when we come up against those brick walls, it's very easy to think, oh, we're good. And we're not. It's a constant evolution, and that's why in the last line of the article, I don't really want to spoil it for those who haven't read it yet.
Yeah, you have to go to podcastmagazine.com to read this thing and subscribe to be able to access those. Because it's not, I mean, you look at all the categories of people that are a part of Podcast Magazine, what Steve's put together, and I know I've got to know Eric Nevins through what he does with his, what he does with his writing and Christian Podcast Association and stuff. And it's just really, it's a really cool piece that it's just a neat family of people. But you got to go to podcastmagazine.com, especially if you're a podcaster, to read these amazing stories. But if you just love stories, I mean, that's what it's about. It's just, I mean, how the art, because it's a digital magazine for right now, but it's right.
Yes and no.
But
yes,
it's changing.
Yes, it is. But they do have a limited run of print. Oh, it's not right in front of me.
Because it's like 150 page magazine.
Yeah.
It ain't no joke. I mean, this isn't like, hey, here's an article, 6 page on Rob and 5 pages on this guy. It's like, it's 150 something page magazine.
Oh, wait a minute. I probably have one right here.
Okay.
Without knocking my thing over. Oh, yeah.
There you go. I'm going to take out
this
videos.
Isn't the
there you go.
current.
You're good. Okay, you're good. All right, yeah, you got
this
one.
Isn't the current, but this was actually our inaugural issue, right? With Glenn Washington.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember,
right?
yeah.
So this thing is like, I mean, it's all color, the paper. It's not like just some little paper, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's like flimsy. It's hard to do this backwards. But like, okay, this was, I don't know why I flipped to it right away, but this was my story, my inaugural issue story.
Nice. The
in
making of an
January.
emotional badass. I like
Badass.
that.
Because her show is called Emotional Badass. Sorry for the swear word, but that's the name of her show. And so it's like it's shy. It's the papers stop. Like it's our design editor. This team. You're right. It's an amazing family. Eric is unbelievable. I just love and adore that man too. And what Steve's idea really was, again, was that there isn't something for the fans that's truly fan driven. And so in sharing these stories and then doing reviews like what we call under the radar and overrated, where we're showcasing a podcast that maybe a lot of people don't know about, but they should, or maybe one that's kind of popular and we don't think it's that great. So we're very unbiased and we've taken some heat, but if we just kind of placated everybody all the time, we definitely wouldn't be kind of creating the cutting edge of, hey, let's be honest and integral and tell the truth about what we think and feel as podcasters ourselves and share that with the audiences and really highlight and showcase people like you who have done like amazing things in your life and are doing unbelievable work with people who, really need to be lifted from the rut. And at the same time, you have two podcasts. You have two podcasts, don't you?
Yeah. Actually, I did. So it's Beyond the Bars Radio, and then the Addiction, Freedom, and Faith. So when people go to when they go to liftedfromtherut.com, they can just click on the podcast tab, and they're both right there, and they can just enjoy the heck out of them.
Yeah.
Right there on Lifted from the Rut site. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So definitely go to podcastmagazine.com. Take the free subscription that Rob's, I'm pretty sure it's free, that you've sent out there, right? Because I know we have a paid version and I think there's still free versions.
Yeah, there is. I kind of gave people that were part of, again, people that are just part of like the newsletters that go out and stuff. It's like, hey, if you want to, if you're just interested in just the article, you can actually go, but you can do the paid subscription. But I gave people a little tip in the newsletter. So if you're not getting the newsletter, you're not going to know this special tip. How you can, that's just for my own personal audience, how you can actually acquire what you were just talking about, but they have to go to podcastmagazine.com to even get access to that, which I like, because you're getting people that have intention to really want to dive into knowing like the story, like you said, beyond the microphone, and just amazing. I mean, again, 150 something pages of just slick looking pretty. I mean, some people, you had Katie Couric on there once. Dave Ramsey was on the front cover. This month, I totally forgot the gentleman's name that's on the cover.
Jocko Willnick.
Yeah. And just incredible stuff. But again, if you don't register for it and be a subscriber, so you can't walk into Costco and get the benefits if you don't pay the membership.
Right. And I'm getting your emails and I open them.
Yeah. And it's crazy. I mean, it's
awesome info.
Well, people have, it's like, it doesn't, who cares if you have 100,000 people on your email list if 500 of them open it, right?
Right.
You're paying for all those things to go out. So it's like, I have like a 35% open rate of my emails that go out, which is because it's people that really want it. Yeah. And that's higher than the industry standard, but it's like, you want people that are engaged in what you're doing. And that's like what you do with your podcast shows. And even with like Beyond the Bars Radio, it's like having people reach out that wanted to be sponsors of it. And, there's sponsorship information on this. What I'm telling the people right now, liftedfromtherut.com, click on the podcast tab. And, AspenRidge was a cool 3-part series I got to do with somebody. So people will, it's a huge industry. It's incredible.
Right. And, people get scared in the podcasting space because when they look at statistics, they're like, oh my gosh, there's over 1 million podcasts. But the truth is there's only about 43% that are actually actively still producing episodes and haven't gone by the way of what we call pod fade. And, which is typically around 10, 12 episodes. They just drop off. Oh, I'm not making $1 million overnight. And I don't have 1 million downloads, so I'm done. And if you think about that, then let's just say 1 million. I know it's more than that. 430,000, let's say. Compared to websites that when it started, think about where you would have been today if you were part of the first 400,000 websites compared to the billions with a B that are out there now. So it's totally an open medium. I don't care how many podcasts get started today. If you have something to say and share, get on, use your phone, a set of earbuds. You don't need the professional setups that Rob and I have. You could get that, but you could start with your phone, record, upload. I guarantee people are waiting for your messages. And like you said, it's people in your world who open your emails because they want what you have. Same in my world, and same in anybody who's listening. And I truly believe everybody has messages and, messages to share and impact to make,
Yeah. Well, and other people reach out to me. Hey, Rob, you have podcast shows. How'd you get started? And I said, I opened my mouth and I hit record.
Yes.
And I was like,
Exactly.
but it wasn't that easy. I said, well, I mean, there was a process of getting there, but the bottom line is, I mean, it is so you can turn anything into a podcast. If it was a seminar that you did, or, I mean, it's the medium, but you learn the things. And I'll tell you what you should do is go to podcastmagazine.com and you can literally get to know Steve and the people and subscribe to things that they do. Like Steve Olsher is awesome in the amount of value he brings to people, and just says, hey, learn how to, I'll just throw us up, learn how to make 6 figures doing podcasting. Well, if your whole focus is to make $1 million doing podcasting, maybe rethink your purpose. If it's to reach people, yes, but then you come up with a plan on how can you do that by bringing in sponsors and doing all sorts of cool things on your show to reach people. But if you need content and need information, get to know Steve Olsher at Podcast Magazine, who's the guy that started it. And, I was part of this really cool summit recently and kind of telling the story that he was telling the story about Steve, and he saw a niche and saw a place to go. And now there's the podcast. Now there's the new podcast, the top 50 countdown coming out, right? New podcast show from Podcast Magazine coming out. And it's really cool. What are your podcast shows called? Let's tell people what they are.
My 2 podcasts are called The Spiritually Expressed Human, Navigating the Human Experience, and Kick Your Butts, BUTS. Now, in all transparency, I haven't dropped a new episode of Kick Your Butts since May 19th, I think it was, because I knew that I needed to shift focus a little, and I wasn't sure if I was going to just rebrand that podcast, the original one, or if I was going to start a new show. And I started a new show, and will here soon start dropping episodes from the new show on the old one, because there are people that are still downloading the old show. And that's the thing. This stuff lives on in perpetuity. Yeah. Right. So it's not like, we had these downloads that day and that's it. Nobody's ever going to listen to it again. There are people who have thousands of episodes there are people who go back to and find episode 1. Yeah. Right. And they just start following it. It's kind of like binge watching Netflix. People binge listen to podcasts that they're interested in.
Yeah, they do. I see it all the time. And even repurposing them, because there were a lot of shows I had on the Beyond the Bars that are a fit for the addiction, freedom, and faith, that I'm just basically change the intro and repurpose on the new one. Yes. And not only that, but just, July of this year, I interviewed 44 people for this online summit that I did. Wow. Right. And it's the ability to, again, I call this repurposing a lot, because you can take the content from one and put it on another, because you might reach the audience here that's not over here. Right. But then they kind of cross pollinating. But I love to promote other people's podcasts and talk about them. And it's like, dude, it's just a cool thing to be, it's a neat platform. And, it's great when it catches a lot of momentum, and then we get to run into each other, and it's like, I get to be a part of this awesome magazine that people can read and enjoy. And cool.
And that's what's really cool, is that even though it's for the fans and really driven by the fans, there are areas of the magazine that are also, what's that one topic? I always forget it. Cool. I don't ever say it right. I think gadgets, gears, and gizmos, I think it's called. I think it's called Gadgets, Gears, and Gizmos, or something like that. And gadgets, gizmos, and gear. My apologies. Yeah. And so it's little things for the podcaster, even though this is really a magazine for the fans, because we recognize that a lot of the fans are actually also podcasters themselves. Yeah. Or wanting to become podcasters. And I had the pleasure and the honor to work with Steve, privately as my coach for a year. And I learned an incredible amount, little things that like, and even since I've been learning, like in repurposing, instead of saying, hey, welcome to Lifted From The Rut or welcome to Beyond the Rut, well, not Lifted From, but Beyond the Bars, you just say, welcome back to the show, right? And then you could repurpose, because if you say the name, well, then you have to re-record, right?
Yep.
So many ins and outs that people get tripped up on. And I think that's a great metaphor in our lives, to be honest, Rob, that like the work that we both do with all kinds of people who are needing help, they can get so tripped up on some of those kinds of things and it stops them when it doesn't have to. It's the little tips they can learn and the tools and the strategies they can pull from their toolbox. And like I was going to start to say before, I don't want to ruin the article, but I will say that there's a reason why my last line of the article, and you have to learn, you have to go and get it in order to know what it is, because I'm not going to say it, but it starts with Rob is the epitome of. That's all I'm going to say. And the reason that I wrote that, and you'll understand why, and I'm being mysterious purposely, is because you really have, stepped into your life in a way that is so inspiring and admirable, Rob. And you won't give, you are such a sweet man and so humble and so kind and gentle. But in this way, you were a bulldog in your life. You were like, I am not going to let these scenarios, these thoughts I had, these behaviors I had, these ways that I was moving through the world stop me. And I don't know what it's going to look like or how it's going to unfold, but I'm going to keep going. And you did. And you've just continued day after day after day. I really admire you. And I have the absolute utmost respect and honor for you, my brother.
Well, I appreciate that. And I was laughing when you said that because I think of the last line and then I think of what would have been said about me 20 years ago before I got sober. Rob is the epitome of, but now it's a lot better. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but, well, cool. Thanks for hopping on today. And
thanks for having me.
Appreciate y'all. And y'all go find Susan on Facebook. And I mean, what are you, I'm going to post your handles and stuff out here because I want people to follow you and see what the heck you're up to too. So
awesome. Thank you, Rob.
So email me. It might be email me like your things and I'll put it in this so people can track you down.
Yeah, will do. Absolutely. Right. Thanks for having me. You're awesome. We'll continue to stay in touch and yeah, we'll just keep doing great things for people.
Cool. Well, thanks a ton. I'm just going to wrap up here. So we will talk another day, my friend.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye. That's awesome. Hey, you guys, gals, people, everybody. I just want to I just want to pray for all y'all. Just have an amazing week this week. This is obviously a different week for our entire nation right now. And I just want to encourage people to share love and hope and just be kind to people and just share the love and positive energy with all around. And again, if you're not receiving the emails that go out, this is just to inform you of cool things that are happening because I'm connected to all these different avenues of life and this, that, and the other. But just shoot me an email, Rob at Lifted From The Rut, or just message me your email address. I will add you to that as well. And don't forget to go to podcastmagazine.com and subscribe so you can actually go check out the sweet article that Susan wrote about my story and just kind of the podcast and just beyond. Basically it's like behind the scenes of who's the guy that's basically interviewing all these other people to share their stories and their passions and all those things too. But today is an awesome day and go enjoy it. I don't know where you are. It's beautiful here in Colorado. This literally is the scene close by me in Colorado. Today specifically, we don't have a lot of clouds. We don't have a lot of smoke in Colorado right now. It is like this beautiful here, right spanking now. That's like 25 minutes from where I live. And the foothills, mountains. I mean, it is a beautiful day in Colorado. I'm just grateful that the fires have subsided and there's just fresh air right now. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful, fun day. A friend of mine, Scott, he's actually the guy that's going to be, I'm putting this podcast out on Friday. He was telling me he's playing 84 holes of golf in 2 days down here because he flew in to play with a buddy. And like, that's Colorado right there. So anyway, we always end with the Lifted From The Rut commercial, and then we hop off. So God bless y'all, and enjoy the outro to the intro to the atro, and that's all I got. So peace. Enjoy your day. Be kind. Be loving, and make sure you vote.